Hi, I have been asked to do an updated video for my hobby workbench, and so that's what I would like to do. So this is, again, my stash of models. Most of them are not yet started upon. It has changed a bit. Most of the models are the same. However, I sold some Gundam models that I figured that I would never get around to building, so I've made room for other stuff in that my acquisition. Um, this is my display case. It's really nice with some glass doors. So it's made by a company called Jejan. I got some miscellaneous toys and such up here. I want to get another one to put in this corner. This was my wife's computer desk, but her laptop is totally dead. So she's relinquishing the space to me. So I'm going to put another display case there. She's just gonna share my computer here. So here are my Yamato Mecha collection. I had a nice space for them, but kind of, I need to find some more space to put these. I just have too many models, I suppose you could say. Let me move down here. Let me show you what's down here. Okay, so I have some like little paint trays. This is ceramic. It's just some, I use this for water slide decals. Put some water in there. This bowl here, this is Future. This is the gloss acrylic. You dip clear parts into there, and like canopies and such. That's what that is for. It's for dipping. This is my Future, Pledged Future. So in case you don't know, it depends on what country you live in. This is a floor polish, but it is a gloss acrylic. You can put this directly into your airbrush and spray it onto your model, and it is a cheap gloss, clear gloss. And I have two other bottles in here. I've stocked up. Here's like a brand new one here. You can't buy this stuff in Japan, so I've taken it from America. This is my Fine Molds work apron that I have never actually used yet, but there you go. I usually use my Hasegawa work apron, and let me get this here. There, see, has the Hasegawa logo on there. This is what I usually use. This is nice and cool, and especially for in the summertime, it's really nice. This is my mask to protect my precious lungs while I am spray painting, and my goggles to protect my eyes. Here's my box of rubber gloves so I don't get paint on my hands. Here's just some plastic spoons that I use for testing out painting and such. A bunch of model magazines. So here is the Fine Molds, the mold release cleaner that you had seen me use. Japanese models don't really require this unless you're dealing with like garage kits and such. Styrene plastic models made in Japan do not require to be washed because they take care of that themselves when you are dealing with Western made models. So this is nice. I mean, you could use soapy water or whatever. I got this because I just thought it was kind of cool. So it might be a waste of money, but whatever. I think it's cool. This is acetone. I got this at the drugstore. This is by Shiseido. It says enamel remover, but on the back here it says it's acetone, and that's what I use when I'm working with putty. This is 70% alcohol. Here's some couple of DVDs. Like here's that Don Yost video on airbrushing gloss enamels that my friend Joey gave me, and this is it came with Dengeki Hobby magazine. This is he calls himself the Gunpla Meister. Not to be confused with Gunpla Meister, the guy who has a YouTube channel. But anyhow, it's neat. He shows you some tricks and tips on building Gundams and such. You can find that video actually somewhere. I think they have it on YouTube. This is just some, not really model related, just tools and such. Fingernail polish. If you have like any sort of like toys, like ball jointed toys, or even like models, like a Gundam model or whatever, that it's gotten kind of loose, dab some clear fingernail polish on the joint, let it dry, and it'll tighten up. and you can use it again. This is Elmer's white glue in here. Some Tamiya fine-tipped cotton swabs. Stencil. Here's a Hasegawa stencil. It says Hasegawa Tri-Tool template set. So I've never used this yet, but it'll come in handy eventually. Okay, so Tamiya saws. This is Rebels at Cloud 9. I learned about this from him. These are like photo etched metal you kind of take out, and you can use these as to cut on plastic. So there's this, and there's an actual like Tamiya saw. This is for I got this for like really cutting into like vinyl and probably resin as well. So here's the handle that it comes with. These are some really strong magnets. I got these at the 100 yen shop. I'm going to use this for my Nausicaa diorama to make parts removable. And this is by a company called Haiku Parts. They make these really tiny little magnets. They're like 4 millimeters long only, and like 1 by 1. They're just really, really tiny. You can use these for making parts, removable and such. Clear plastic spoons to practice on, removing scratches and such. Here, this is a compass, some double-sided tape. Here's some extra masking tape, refills, Tamiya, and some extra compound. I haven't gotten around to, I'll replace the other stuff eventually. And this is backup. Wave. These are like little metal rods. This is for doing figures and such. And this is some ballast for dioramas. It's kind of basically just sand. Okay, moving on. Over here, these are my spray cans, and I bought a whole lot of these while... what I should have done is just save up to buy an airbrush sooner than I did, because I ended up buying a whole bunch of these sprays, and it would have been better just to put that money towards airbrush, because most of these... Well, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of them I have not even used yet. Like this one is totally, still shrink wrapped. So here are my Tamiya sprays, and here up till here. So I have like the regular Tamiya spray, and this is like their aircraft colors. And I really like, these are lacquers. I would like for Tamiya to make these lacquer paints available in bottles, because there are paints, like for example like this color here, they don't have an acrylic version of this in a paint jar. Here is where it starts, the Mr. Color spray, the lacquer sprays, and I think one of them is a Gundam color. Yeah, Mr. Hobby spray cans, out of the rattle cans, I don't like the paint. It doesn't behave as well as the Tamiya does. The Tamiya spray cans, I think, work better than these. But that's in my experience. Here's some clear, Tamiya clear. Again, this is all lacquer. Flat clear. Now here's some Mr. Super Clear. This is more lacquer clear paint. What you should not do is spray lacquer onto decals. That's what this stuff is for. This is Mr. Top Coat. This is acrylic. Acrylic is going to be safe with your decals. So I have, I have gloss and matte. I also have, I guess I don't have any more. It also comes in semi-gloss. So this is Mr. Surfacer 500. This is good for, filling in some seams and such, scratches and whatnot. I also have Mr. White Surfacer 1000, which is probably about the same as this Tamiya White Surfacer Fine. So it says Fine, so it's probably about 1000 grit. And just here's some regular Mr. Surfacer. Here's some regular Tamiya gray primer. Alright. I do have a couple of enamel sprays, and I never really use these much. This is Tester's Spray Enamel. Now, I also have Tester's Gloss Coat and Tester's Dull Coat. Something you need to know about this stuff is that, okay, these are lacquer. These will yellow either white or very light colored, like light gray or whatever paints. This stuff is not good to use on anything except for like really dark colors. This stuff is notorious for yellowing your models. So if you're painting something white or even like a light gray like a Millennium Falcon or whatever, don't use these. These suck. I would just recommend not even buying these things at all. They're no good. That's why I don't use them anymore. Stick to Tamiya or GSI Creos lacquers for clear coats. And again, also use the top coat for your decals. Moving along here, this is called a dust base. So when you're sanding, pull this. This is just a cover. When you're sanding, you got the dust. This will catch it, especially resin dust. You will need to be careful with that. It'll just catch dust. That's why they call it a dust catcher. Plus, also you can put your skewers in here too. Nice, huh? Okay, moving on. Back here, just paper towels, just some random newspapers and such. This is an oven filter. What am I doing with this? I'll explain later. Just a rag. Here's my Wave compressor 317. It has an automatic shutoff. It has a built-in pressure regulator and a water catch. Now, going up here, this is my airbrush. This is a Wave HT231. This is a dual action, and it comes with a nice paint cup. There you go. Neat, huh? Okay, turn this off. I'm not using this. And also, I have a by GSI Creos. This is a dust catcher here, so that'll kind of help give me some extra assurance that there's not going to be any dust going in through here. Okay, this is just it's called a airbrush cleaning bottle. So when you got some excess paint, you can get rid of it. When you are running lacquer thinner or whatever whatever thinner you're using to clean out your airbrush, just spray it into here and it catches the nasty stuff. This is a painting base. This is a small one, so I got some stuff here. It's drying. And I have two other ones here. These are larger ones. Put your skewers in here and the parts will dry. In here, this is, you may have seen these in my car videos especially. This is just an upside down CD DVD case that I use for drying gloss paint jobs. See, here's the windshield for the DeLorean. Nice and shiny, dust free. Really neat. Okay, so here are my Delta SRAM coats. These are kind of hard to find in Japan. There's a chain called Tokai, Craft Heart Tokai or something like that. They actually had a few of these paints, but they're pretty picked over and they're not replenishing their supply. They're just getting rid of what they have. I had to buy a few off of Rakuten, but if you live in the United States at least, or North America, you can buy these really easily at craft stores. Here we have Tamiya clear epoxy resin for dioramas, and this is just some extra Mr. Color thinner, lacquer thinner, some miscellaneous bottles. Here's my skewers. Most of them are, you know, like little bamboo skewers with little clips taped onto them. Here's one like with this type of clip, and also electronics alligator clips. I made these myself. And there's like, here's some chopsticks with some tape on it. You know, pretty easy. Or with the Elmer's glue. Or I'm sorry, the Elmer's tack. Neat stuff. Here is some plaster. Bought this for figures. Way in the back here, this is Nichiban. This is masking tape. This stuff is really cheap. Really cheap. Diorama clay. Eventually I need to get back to working on my Nausicaa. These are just some models I'm working on, you know, whatever. Refills, here's lacquer thinner and airbrush cleaner. And whenever I use up what I'm you know, the stuff I have on hand up on my desk, here's the backup. So these are just cotton swabs, no big deal. These are neat cotton swabs. Look at this. It has like a rounded end and a pointed end on the other side. That's pretty cool, huh? Okay. And this is just water. My Evangelion girl. Okay, so. Alright, those are some models I'm working on. Let me move this stuff out of the way. So here's my DeLorean. Got a couple of Yamato Mecha collections here. This is my lamp. Built-in magnifier. Brushes. Duh. Just some miscellaneous characters and stuff. You know, there's the Metal Slug, Gashapons. This is the head of Deckard from Blade Runner. This is sculpted by Dorobo Hige, the famous Japanese modeler. He gave this to me as a gift. I was talking to him at the Shizuoka Hobby Show for quite a long time about Blade Runner, and he just gave this to me. That was really nice of him. Neat guy. Vaseline. This is for lubricating my airbrush needle. And also you can use this for, you know, when you're working with garage kits and such. Here's a bunch of, this is where I keep the pointed Tamiya swabs. Like 3 different types, I think. And these are really good for cleaning out your airbrush here. Lacquer. This is Alclad 2 Chrome. Got this from America. It is metallized paint. It's really super nice. Now, this is mineral spirits. It says Spirit of Turpentine by a company called Holbein. It is for use with these Holbein Artist oils. This is for weathering. I only have 4 colors, but I want to get, you know, I want to start weathering with this. It'd be an interesting technique. It'd be something new for me. These are just like little plastic cups. I thought these would be great for mixing paints before putting them into the airbrush. Since then, I have become a lot more skilled at just putting the thinner plus the paint into this mixing cup here, and then just, you know, running the air through it, mixing it up, and then spraying it on there. When I was getting used to the airbrush, I wasn't really good at doing that. This is not good for using with lacquer paints though, because I had one of these that kind of melted too much lacquer thinner, and it kind of made the plastic weak and kind of made a mess. So moving on. In the crack here, just some rulers. This is a paintbrush holder. So if you're painting and you don't want to put your paintbrush down and hit anything, it holds it in place. And isn't that neat? Okay. Now here, this is Model Master Tester's just enamel thinner. This is Zippo lighter fluid for doing panel lines, and this is 91% alcohol. And a toothbrush. Yeah, this alcohol is actually from the United States. This is CVS Pharmacy. I took it with me when I moved to Japan. I don't use it very much, but it's good for cleaning out your airbrush with using acrylics. This is my diamond file. Isn't that nice? And some other just standard files by Tamiya. Got some Tamiya paint stirrers, X-Acto knife, and little glass pipettes for you know, working with the thinner. This is my Thai Interceptor Pilot. Oh yeah, this is really cool. These actually came with the spray booth, and these little balls on the end, I couldn't understand what they were for originally, but you stick them in here. There you go. See, you can paint stuff. Just hold it, you know, just paint it, and this thing just holds it automatically. Really neat. Let me show you. This is my cutting mat, obviously. And this is my spray booth. This is made by a company called Airtex. I did a video of this when I unpacked it. It's nice. It's a twin fan, so when you're working with lacquers, it really ventilates very well. This stuff here, this is that filter stuff down here I told you about here. Okay. I need to replace these. You know, the paint's really building up, so I'll just yank these off there, cut up some more pieces, and stick them on here. That double-sided tape is what this is for, and I have that down there. Okay, so let me put this back up here. Okay, so moving on. This is all my micro scale stuff. Micro set, microsol, liquid decal film, and micro crystal clear. This is for like gluing clear parts and such. In here, this is my pin vise and my Tamiya fine drill set. This is ranging between 0.3 and 0.8 millimeters. Paint trays, extra alligator clips, cosmetic applicators for weathering and such, and just some spare parts for like this thing here. Next is a cotton glove. This is when I'm working with pastel chalks. I have several different dirty kind of colors, and I got a little bit more vibrant colors here too I have not yet used. But you don't want to get fingerprints on your model, so that's what the glove is for. Okay. Now this is the Nichiban tape I showed you before. I have 3 different kinds of Tamiya masking tapes, and this is really cool. These are like really thin. This is the widest is 2.5 that I have, and this is 1 millimeter, and this is 0.4 millimeters. This is extremely really tiny. And here's a refill, masking tape refill. I guess I put it down there with the other stuff. Replaceable needle for my airbrush. The airbrush comes with a 0.3 and a 0.5 millimeter needles, and this is the 0.5. This is for larger paint jobs, like what I did with the SR71 Blackbird. When you have larger models, this will paint, lay down lots of paint a lot faster. And this is the head here that goes with it, and this is the little wrench to open it up with. So now I'm gonna put all this stuff away and continue. Yeah, I should point this out as well. You may have noticed this so far. I have these little stickers here. This is a Tamiya sticker. This one is plum. On the side of this thing here, I have a Hasegawa sticker, another plum, a couple of plum ones, fine molds. This is Bandai. It's a dome face sticker. And on the other side here, I have another really large Tamiya sticker here, just for decoration. Let me take a step back. You might see that this desk, it's just a table that I bought from a catalog at one of the schools I taught at a few years ago. It's kind of bowing in the middle, I think, just because of the weight, especially of all the paints up here. I don't know if I should eventually replace this table or not, because you can see this stuff is kind of tilted to one side as a result. Not good. Alright. I have a Rebel Transport and a Blockade Runner, and these are those, I think it was Micro Machines that made these several years ago. Okay, so here we go. I have some super glue. I have some Tamiya polishing compound. I have coarse, fine, and finish. There's some Tamiya putty. This is the lacquer-based putty. And here I have this. This is that GSI Krios. It's like that gel for clear parts. There's a lot of tools. There's my Tamiya scissors, Tamiya side cutters, Tamiya tweezers, my Tamiya decal tweezers, and this is for photo etch. This is a Tamiya scissors for cutting photo etch parts. And this is also by Tamiya. This is for bending photo etch parts into place. This is a scriber. I got this at a hardware store, and just another pair of tweezers. I actually feel that I don't have enough tweezers. I might get some of those other Tamiya tweezers they have out. Okay, this is kind of a disorganized mess. I have never really firmly decided on what to use these for, so these just it's kind of haphazard in here. And I can't get the damn thing open here. Hold on a second. Okay, it's open now. This is just a paint tray. Here's that terrible Tester's glue. I don't use this anymore. Tester's, this is a non-toxic glue, and I have these little heads for gluing applications, but I never use that. I always just use a toothpick whenever I use this stuff, but I don't use it anymore. Here are the clothespins. You might see me in the videos when I need to make sure that something, glues properly, tightly together. This is just a rough brush. I can't remember what I was using that for. There's some polishing sticks, up to 12,000 grit. Pretty cool. And some sanding sponges here. And I got some emery boards, and here's some different grits of sandpaper I've been using that I didn't want to throw away because I can still use it. This is Mr. Chipping Rubber Block. This is by GSI Krios, and it looks like an eraser, but you just kind of rub it over a paint job, and it'll chip the paint and reveal whatever paint you have underneath there. I have yet to use this, but I think it's just a neat little thing, so I picked it up. I've yet to use this. Alright, let's move on. Move on. Here's just a cosmetic brush for dusting off models. Whatever this is. Some more clamps. Another emery board. I can put it here with the other one, I guess. Okay, here's some file sticks by Wave. And also some more emery boards. These are by, I bought these at Andy's Hobby Headquarters in Glendale, Arizona. Super neat guy. I hope he's still in business, because I like him a lot. Okay. Here, I have Tamiya Weathering Master stuff here. I got a couple of sets of these. I have the B set and the C set. And it has like the little makeup applicator type thingies. I have just an eraser, just for, if I get kind of carried away, if I'm using a Gundam marker. If you make a mistake, you can rub it off with an eraser. Just some different Gundam markers. I got silver. I don't even use these Gundam markers very much anymore. I bought a bunch of them when I was really zealous and I was doing a lot of Gundams, but it turns out I didn't really use very many of these things. This is like an eraser pen for Gundams. Don't use it hardly at all. Last time I used it, I made a mistake because it started to attack my paint job. Here's a set of Gundam weathering markers. Okay, and this is just a basic set of Gundams, Gundam markers. It didn't have blue, so I think I bought blue separately. I have it in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So I have like silver and gold. I also have some of these Posca pens. These are pretty nice for doing like the eyes of a robot, because like I noticed like if you use this yellow for Posca, it's a lot more vivid, bright yellow color than if you use the yellow Gundam marker. I just like how that turned out a lot better than using a Gundam marker. So these are just basically paint pens. These are real popular in Japan. Alright, moving on. Okay, here are the few acrylic paints that I own. These are the few Model Master acrylic paints that I own. And because they always have just the same black top, what I did was I just put a stripe of paint on top here so I can figure out which ones they are. I can find them faster that way. So like here's jet exhaust. I can see what that looks like. Intermediate blue, etc. I hadn't really used much of these. I bought a bunch when I was getting into modeling. I was just really zealous and just buying a whole bunch of crap when I lived in the United States. And I didn't know how to thin this stuff, though. I had tried using alcohol, like what, 90% alcohol or something like that, but I didn't really like how it turned out. You can actually use Tamiya enamel thinner. I'm sorry, Tamiya acrylic thinner to use on these, and it works really nicely. And that's actually what this test spoon is here. This is like what Blue Angel's yellow, and I thinned it with Tamiya acrylic. So yes, you can use Tamiya acrylic thinner on Model Master thinner, or Model Master paints. Now here are Mr. Hobby Aqueous, which is their acrylic line. I do have a few of these. I don't have very many, but this is what I have. And this is because I'm OCD. I write the paint number on top, so I know where they are. I can locate them much more easily that way. Okay, moving on. Oh yeah, here's my Hello Kitty, my Tamiya Hello Kitty. It's a Revoltech. She's getting kind of dusty. Okay, in here are my enamel paints. Now I have some Model Master enamels, not many, but I do have some. Like here's sand. I use that for dry brushing the sand on the Nausicaa kit here. Here are just the regular Testors enamels in the little jars. I don't like these jars. Unfortunately, you know, Testors, they always have like these metal lids on these, and they have like that little washer inside, and if you lose the washer, then you're gonna make a paint mess. Unfortunately, if it gets knocked over. That's what I don't like about Model Master paints, is the lids, definitely, for one thing. Yeah, just some. What, this is gray. I have some gloss yellow. I have learned that Testors silver sucks. My friend Gary pointed this out to me, and I didn't realize it until he showed it to me. But this stuff never dries. Like I've had stuff that I painted like years ago, and you can still rub your finger, and then you can just barely see like some of the silver had rubbed off onto your finger. This stuff never fully dries, so I'm just going to use this for like dry brushing at the most. That is really disappointing. Here are Tamiya enamel paints. If you live in North America, you will have a difficult time finding these things. I believe these are not for sale. And of course, this is all I have in Japan. So whatever. I like both. I like Testors enamels and Tamiya enamels because there's a lot of. I think that Testors paints, there's a lot more variety than Tamiya paints. Like for example, I have a whole bunch of cream colored. Now the closest you can get with Tamiya is like a flesh tone or something or other, and it's flat. But this is a gloss cream, and I have a car that I want to do with like a gloss cream, and that's what these are for. So anyhow, yeah, here's chrome silver. This one's pretty nice, actually. I like the Tamiya enamel chrome silver better than their acrylic chrome silver. I think it just kind of looks nicer. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Okay, moving on. Let me just finish this up here. I think I got my little Yoda here. Tamiya Panaline accent color. Yes, you can get these outside of Japan. Rebels of Cloud Knight in Canada, he uses these a lot too. and I've read from other people online that can get this. So yeah, I do get questions about this stuff. Yes, you can buy this. Maybe look online if your model shop doesn't have it. So recently, GSI Krios has come out with their I forget what it's. I'm sure it has the word Mister on it, but Mister Weathering Wash or something rather. It's basically the same thing. Here's paint retarder. If you don't know what this is, the paint retarder this is for your acrylic paints. If you are, especially if you are working with gloss paints, drop this stuff in there. Or also, especially if you are hand brushing something, the paint retarder slows down the drying process a bit, so you can get a smoother surface that way. So you might want to drop this into your airbrush, or when you're thinning acrylic paints for brushing, use the paint retarder. Tamiya acrylics are not really that good for using with your paint brushes, but if you use this, it actually helps out a lot. Mark Fit Strong. This is for, once you've applied the decals, you want to make sure it really sticks onto your model. This is really, really strong, and I think it works pretty nice. This is just when you need the heavier artillery, I guess, for really stubborn decals. Tamiya Extra Thin Cement and Tamiya Cement. What's the difference? Well, Tamiya Cement is pretty thick. Extra Thin, this is really watery. And if you want to get into cracks and such, that's what this comes in. But typically, I would like to use this most of the time. This is Brush Aid. This is cute. Here in Japan, if you put a cute anime girl on a product, then that really helps your chances of selling something. This is basically, I would say this is nothing more than just soap, I guess. I bought it just because I'm a sucker for cute crap. But when you want to wash your paintbrushes, this works like shampoo for your paintbrushes. So you would dip your paintbrush in here, rub it, and then rinse it out with water. This is Mr. Masking Sol. This is by GSI Krios. This is just you paint it on by Mr. Hobby, or GSI Krios, just for masking. It's a liquid masking solution. Now here's Mr. Mark Setter and Mark Softer. Just like Microset and Microsol, when you put on a decal, you might want to use Microset to help kind of relax the decal and help it to slide around. Once you get it into place and it dries a bit, you would put on the Micro Solution, which will help to really seal it onto the model. This is the same thing. This is the GSI Krios version, the Mr. Hobby version. So why do I use both? I mentioned this in an earlier video. Somebody told me that this is the GSI Krios stuff is more useful for decals that are made for the Asian market, and this is more useful for the Western market. I don't know if that's really true, but they say somebody said that on a forum somewhere that this is better to use on Western-made decals, and this is more for like Japanese decals or whatever. Please let me know if that is just a myth. Mr. Color Thinner. This is just lacquer thinner. Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. And the leveling thinner is basically, it has, paint retarder. Of course, this is Tamiya acrylic paints. This is for your Mr. Hobby lacquer, if you want leveling thinner in there. Now this is thinner for Mr. Hobby Aqueous. So this is their acrylics. Mr. Hobby acrylics here, again, this is what these are. Okay, you don't want to use Tamiya acrylic thinner on these and vice versa. Okay, that's what I understand to be true. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understand to be true. Tamiya acrylics they're a different type of acrylic, so you don't want to use the Tamiya acrylic thinner on the Mr. Hobby Aqueous acrylics. Although then again, I will say that the Tamiya acrylic thinner will work on Model Master acrylics. Okay? Alright. Just so we're clear on that. Let me put this back up. This is turning out to be a long video, but anyhow, I know people enjoy these videos, so that's great. This is a neat little little spice rack or whatever I had picked up. I think it was like summer of last year. It's a really neat little addition, and this is perfectly what I was looking for. Okay, here is the Tamiya enamel paint thinner. This will work, of course, on regular enamel paints. The Tamiya enamel paints, like you saw here, and it also works on Tester's enamel paints. It works on both. Tamiya acrylic paint thinner, I just explained that. This is, I guess I can put this in order here. Tamiya lacquer thinner. You can use Tamiya lacquer thinner on Mr. Hobby lacquers. I should also mention that Tamiya lacquer thinner is great for their acrylics too. Helps it dry really fast. This stuff here is airbrush cleaner. No matter what type of paint you've been using, the airbrush cleaner is really effective at cleaning out your airbrush, even more so than lacquer thinner. It works pretty well. These are made by sorry, not GSI. This is Gaia Notes. This is the black primer, and this is their silver primer. I might get their white primer eventually, but I don't know. So I want to get away from using rattle cans. I just they're expensive and wasteful, and I feel more comfortable buying this because this just comes in a glass bottle. Glass is easily recyclable. So moving on, these are just some Macross toys here. Okay, more paint. This is all paint from up here all the way down here. So here are my Tamiya paints. Now you see I have a bunch of the old large, the 23 milliliters, and then they switched over to their what is it, 16 milliliters or whatever this is. I can't remember. Basically it's the same size as the Mr. Hobbies. What I used was some thick card paper I picked up at a 100-yen shop, and I cut it into strips. And that way I have these nice, easily maintainable rows. And since I'm obsessive compulsive, again, I wrote the number of each of the paints on top so I can find them a lot easier that way. It's a lot easier that way. So yeah, all of these have written in pen on the top the X number. So same thing for the Mr. Hobby color. So I find that I use these Mr. Hobby lacquers more than anything, especially if I'm painting a model that has more than one color. I would like to use the lacquer as the base and then maybe put acrylic on top of that. And you've seen me correcting mistakes by just dipping like a fine-tipped swab such as this in some Windex or some acrylic thinner and wiping away excess, and it's not going to damage the lacquer because the lacquer is the sturdy kind. So I have quite a selection of Mr. Hobby paints, and not only do I like just the sturdiness of the lacquer, but there's a lot more variety in colors than Tamiya. I mean, I have a couple of like yellows and such. I don't really have any Mr. Hobby yellows, but there's quite a lot more colors available with Mr. Hobby. So I really like these. And I know that these are difficult to find at a typical hobby store in like the United States where I am from. Typically, it's either Testers or Tamiya, but these are really nice. A lot more diverse range of colors here. So, and it just even like like how many different types of off whites are there? I mean, like look at these. Like this is technically a gray, but I mean, and this is just a few. Here's another one here. 314. I think this is kind of like more of a camouflage gray or something. I can't remember. But that's nice. What does Tamiya have? White. That's it. It's kind of disappointing. I'm not gonna, I don't want to sound like I'm negative against Tamiya. I like Tamiya paints. It's just that I kind of wish that they would release more of a variety. And this is not gonna pop back in. I have these little paint trays here. That's what I have these organized in. If you buy some Mr. Hobby paints at the hobby store, they usually might give you one of these little paint trays. So that's pretty nice of them. Okay, so moving on. Now down here, I have yet even more. So I separated these away. These are like the flesh tones. Like here's Mr. Color 51 Flesh. This is Character Flesh 1, and 111, and 112 is Character Flesh 2. There's 3 different colors for flesh tones, and there are actually more in different type of box sets that Mr. Color makes. Tamiya only has like one, which is like just flesh, or I think they also have buff. You can use that as well. But like I said, there's a lot more variety. So these are just like little mixing jars. When you thin it down, you don't want to put it back into the paint jars. So that's what these little spare bottles are for. Okay, and like this one here, this is just Mr. Color 1, and I'm just using this. I didn't throw it away because it's pre-mixed. This has the lacquer thinner in here, same as this. So this is super metallic. This is chrome silver, and this is super metallic, super titanium. These are both Mr. Hobby lacquers. You can compare these to Alclad. So you would have to use, I got this. This is Mr. Color GX2. It's called Ueno Black. This is gloss. The GX line is really like a deep color. For example, if you prime something in gray, and if you paint Mr. Color, I think it's GX1 white, the gray will not permeate through the white paint. Normally if you paint white on top of like a dark color, then it'll be kind of dull. But not with this stuff, apparently. I've never used this, but that's what they say. So this is like a really bold color, and it's highly glossy. So what I would do is, next time if I want to use like the super metallic here, because this stuff here, see, look how liquid this is. You just dump this straight into your airbrush and it's ready to go. So you cannot hand brush this stuff at all. So you would use this in conjunction with that stuff. I mean, you can use like when I've used the Alclad, I used Testors Gloss Black. It's the same thing. Here are, I've barely used these, I think, because once I learned how to use an airbrush, I kind of lost interest in building Gundams. Because up until then, I had just built a bunch of Gundams because you don't have to, airbrush them to make them look fairly nice because it's in pre-colored plastic, and I was just doing that when I was just getting kind of started, So this is a nice collection of Mr. Hobby Gundam colors, and I have 3 more actually here. That's just a lot, and it's just kind of going to waste because I'm not building any Gundams. This is where I have all my clear stuff here. This is just a pre-mixed bottle. This was Mr. Color Pink, but I had mixed this up, and this is what I used for the Sakura Tyson. So here is flat base for Mr. Color, and then I also have a flat base for Tamiya, and I have flat clear, and this is also flat clear. So this is the aqueous flat clear, and this is the Tamiya flat clear. So basically it's just a clear coat. Spray it on, you have to thin it, spray it on, there you go. So this is flat base. Now what's the difference? Like, you don't want to spray flat base onto your model, you're going to screw it all up. The flat base is to be mixed into your paints. So this is Tamiya flat base, okay? So you would mix this with your Tamiya, like if you have a gloss and you want it to, you know, kind of flatten it out a little bit, that you would mix this into it. What I use this for is, like, I mixed it with the flat Future, okay? So that's what this stuff is. This is just Future, which is gloss, with Tamiya flat base in it, and there you go. This is just regular flat base Mr. Color. So Mr. Color, a lot of these paints are like semi-gloss. This one's what? Semi-gloss? Semi-gloss. Semi-gloss. This is gloss. 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 Flat. They have a lot of these that are semi-gloss, and if you don't want it to be gloss, you would just add some of this flat base to it, and there you go. That's how you fix it. These are just more extra bottles, extra paint I didn't want to throw away. These are some, you know, what? This is Tamiya black plus gunmetal. I use this on my TIE Interceptor. I've been slowly working on that a little bit. So anyhow, let's put this up. Almost done with the video. For those who are getting into the hobby, you know, this is the reason why this video is so long. This is to kind of help teach you stuff. Alright, let me start at the bottom here first. There's no batteries in here. This is a paint stirrer. This is made by Wave. You can get something like this, like, for you Americans, if you go to Harbor Freight Tools, I think you can get something like this. You just put the batteries in, and then you stir up the paint. I would use this for something like flat Future. You know, if I'm going to be putting flat base into the Future, I want to make sure it's perfectly mixed through. That's what that's for. And here are the batteries to operate that. Now, here are a bunch of decals. Like, these are decals I had made. Here's like a license plate that I had done for that Mitsubishi Galant. These are, another product by HiQ Parts. They make these really neat decals. And this is made by, I think, by a company called, this is a HiQ Parts as well. So if you get a decal, you want to kind of customize it, you can get these pre-made decals, and they're pretty neat. Sorry, I've got a bit of a sniffle today. Allergies. These are a whole bunch of decals that I never used. So you don't want to throw them away. If you want to use your imagination, you can, use something. Use some of these to make them look nice. So I got some old Macross decals that a friend of mine gave to me long ago. Yeah, here's more. I'm going to use this for the Star Trek build. There you go. Now, here are the decal paper. So I have, this is clear, and I also have white. I have not yet used the white. Okay, but it's the same thing. These are for use with your inkjet printer, and unfortunately that also means that the decal is kind of thick as a result. So if you have a laser printer, or at least access to a laser printer, they do have different decal papers that you can use for those. It's very tempting to do so. I know I can maybe print stuff at work, but I don't want to, abuse the resources. So what you would do is you would get into a Word document, whatever size your decal, print it out, and then you get something like this. And then you spray the tester's decal bonder, and that will kind of seal the ink on. If you don't use this, the ink's kind of just kind of lift off and float away from the paper, and you've ruined it. So, and I have another spare bottle, rattle can of this stuff. More decals, just custom stuff, little warning signs and such. Same thing. Same thing. Now, this is actually made by Wave. Now this is Fujimi. These are Japanese license plates. You can make your own custom license plates. It's got like the standard white, and then if you have the K car, like the small engine car, that's what the yellow license plates are for. This is Hasegawa Tri-Tools application sheet. This is a clear masking sheet, and it's pretty nice. For example, like if you want to have like a checkered pattern, you can stick it on and then cut away the squares, and then there you go. Pretty neat. Okay, let's put this stuff away and move on. Okay. Oh, by the way, liquid decal film. You can shoot this through an airbrush straight. I've done it before. Turn up the pressure. It looks like nothing's coming out hardly. I mean, you can barely see it, but this will actually put down a really, really fine mist on your decals. So if you have an older model, you could just brush it on, I suppose, but I used an airbrush, and it works pretty well. It's pretty nice stuff. Okay, moving on. This is Tamiya modeling wax. So after you do like the finishing compound and such, it's all nice and shiny. Wash off the compound, and you can apply the wax. And this is with the applicator. That's what this little cloth is in here. I guess I should keep them together, but whatever. Okay, now these are the polishing cloths for the compound, the Tamiya compound. Looking pretty filthy in there, but who cares? I have a whole bunch of Tamiya sandpaper. Some people in the United States might complain about the price, but at least where I live, I can't complain. These are La Pros. These are what? I think it starts at 2,000 or 2,400 grit, 4,000, then 6,000 and 8,000. This is what I use for polishing stuff. You don't need to get this wet. It's not like a wet sanding. It's pretty nice. These are just more Tamiya, different grits of paper, sandpaper, etc. Now, you will find this useful. This is made by Wave. This is a parts opener, and you can separate your parts that way. Now, I had actually, where is it? Here it is. I forgot to show you this. This came with like a Hobby Japan magazine or something or other. It says Gunpla, it says Bandai on it. This is for parts, but this is made out of plastic, so you can see it's gotten kind of chipped and eaten away a little bit. Not good. Well, this one's made out of metal, and I guess I don't need this packaging anymore. But yeah, so this would have really come in handy when I was working on the Snap Kit Starship Enterprise. So you just kind of put it in to the crack and kind of wiggle it back and forth, kind of fudge it, and then you get it to the point where you can take the parts apart, and you don't have to worry about breaking your model by mistake by forcing the plastic. This is Elmer's tack. This is just like a adhesive putty, and I use it. Like you can stick it on skewers. Like I think I have a few of in here. You just stick it on the skewer and put your parts, and it sticks onto the part, and then that you can use it for airbrushing or whatever you want to use it for. Tamiya epoxy putty. This is the type. There's like two different colors. You mix them together like a 50-50 ratio, and you have like instant putty that you can then kind of fill in gaps and such. And because it's not lacquer, based, it's not going to attack your model. If you know, so you can use a lot to fill in really big holes. Okay, finally, last drawer. Let's put this back in here. All right. Here are my paint sets. I have the Blue Impulse paint set in here. Here's a whole bunch of Yamato color paint sets. I've done a video on those. Take a look if you're interested. It's on my channel. Liquitex gel medium. I bought this thinking that this would be good for water, but it's more like a milky. I didn't think it was really good. That's why I got the clear resin instead. Now, here are Mr. Surfacer products. Get these if you can. They're really nice. Mr. Surfacer 500. If you want to fill in some gaps and holes and such, this will do the trick. It's really nice. So the 500 means it's 500 grit, so it's really coarse. It's going to fill in holes a lot more efficiently. Then after that, you can move it up to Mr. Surfacer 1000. And then again, Mr. Surfacer 12,000. I think they also have I'm sorry, not 12,000. 1,000, 1,200. I'm so sorry. 500, 1,000, 1,200. Okay, I think there's a 1,500 as well, but I don't know. Check it out online if you're interested. You can paint this. You know, you've seen me doing that in my videos before. I used some on the DeLorean. So if you have some parting lines, or you know, when you fit some pieces together, you can have gaps and such, this will fill it in. You can thin this with lacquer thinner and use it as a primer for your airbrush. So it says Mr. Surfacer Primer Mix. It's just, I think it's 1,000. I can't remember which one I used. But anyhow, it's just diluted Mr. Surfacer, and I can just dump this straight into an airbrush, and there you go. Here are some thinned out Gaia Notes. This is the silver and black. That's what I showed you up here. These are thinned, and they're good to go. Gaia Notes is completely compatible with Mr. Hobby. So, this is Mr. Base White. I originally got this because this is good for it's good for priming your little miniature figures and such. And it says here you can use this as a surfacer as well. So you know, it'll fix your scratches and such, just like Mr. Surfacer 1000. But this is a white version. It's, again though, there is a Mr. Surfacer 1000 white, and I don't know what the difference between that and Mr. Base White 1000 is. I'll have to read up on that, and it'll take a while to translate it in Japanese, but they do have some explanations. This is Mr. Resin Primer Surfacer. This is old. They don't make this anymore. Now, if you know, if you're working with garage kits, this is a primer that is good for resin. So, I mean, you can use this on resin, but I think this is better to use. Now, this is old, so like you can see here, it's like it's almost like testers. It's got this metal top. I bought this about a year ago, and I haven't even used it. But since then, they have, actually, it's called a Mr. Surfacer Primer. And I had to read up on that. I translated, you know, I was reading it on a website in Japanese. There's Mr. Surfacer 1000 and Mr. Primer Surfacer 1000. What's the difference? Well, the Primer Surfacer is for this kind of stuff too. It's more multi-use. I mean, this is good standard, but they also have the Mr. Primer Surfacer, which is good for resin parts and such. So there you have it. And that is it, I believe. Except I just realized I do have, I don't think I showed you this. This is one last thing here. This is Metal Primer, Mr. Model Primer. When you have photo etch parts, you would brush this on, and then it's good for painting. So that's what you would use for priming metal pieces. So this has been a very, very long video. I hope you have found this entertaining, I guess. Hopefully educational. Maybe you may have learned something. I don't know. It's kind of weird thinking that I can actually impart knowledge when it comes to modeling to people, but some people, might not know some of these things. So thanks for watching. This is my hobby workbench, and just kind of barely leaning to one side, but it's hanging in there. So thanks for watching. Bye.